In the distant cold expanses of Norway, among the harsh fjords and endless forests, the talented artist Edvard Munch was born. His paintings seemed to cut the soul, revealing to the viewer a world of anxiety, suffering, and deep emotional experiences. He was a master who was not afraid to look into the darkest corners of the human psyche, and his work became a true mirror for his time and for all subsequent generations. Edvard Munch was born on December 12, 1863 in Løten, Norway, the son of military doctor Christian Munch and his wife Laura. Edvard's childhood was spent in an atmosphere of strict discipline and religious piety. The family moved frequently, and Edvard and his siblings grew up surrounded by the harsh nature of Norway, which was deeply imprinted in his memory and later reflected in his art. But behind the outward calm and beauty of the Norwegian landscapes lay the dark side of the Munch's life. When Edvard was just 5 years old, his mother Laura died of tuberculosis. This first blow of fate was soon compounded by another tragedy. Edvard's older sister Sophia, with whom he was very close, also died of tuberculosis when she was only 15. These losses left an indelible mark on the young Munch's heart and soul, forever immersing him in a world of grief and longing. The death of his mother and sister had a huge impact on Edvard's personality. In his eyes, the world became a place full of pain and loss. He was often ill, and the long days spent in bed became a time of reflection and inner searching. These experiences were the source of his early works, in which he sought to express his deep emotional wounds. His first significant painting, The Sickly Child, 1885 to 1886, was a reflection of these personal tragedies. The canvas depicts a scene imbued with a sense of helplessness and despair. A girl, probably resembling his sister, sits at the bedside, her face full of suffering. This work marked the beginning of a series of paintings exploring the theme of illness, death and grief. Edvard Munch found solace in art, which became a way for him to comprehend and express his inner feelings. His early works demonstrate not only technical skill, but also a deep emotional power that set him apart from other artists of the time. Every stroke, every shadow on his canvases spoke of personal loss and suffering, creating a unique style that would later become a hallmark of his work. Thus, Edvard Munch's childhood and adolescence, overshadowed by tragic losses, were not only an ordeal for him, but also a powerful source of inspiration that shaped him as an artist. These events became the foundation on which he built his unique artistic universe, full of deep emotionality and psychological tension. Edvard Munch, with his innate talent and deep inner world, decided to devote his life to art. In 1880, he entered the School of the Royal Academy of Drawing in Christiania, now Oslo, where his studies became an important stage in the formation of his artistic style. It was during this period that he began to realize his artistic goals and search for his own path in art. At the Royal Drawing Academy School, Munch received a classical art education, learning the basics of drawing and painting under the guidance of experienced teachers. But his work really began to blossom when he met the eminent Norwegian artist and teacher, Christian Munch. Munch was a recognized master of naturalism, and his influence played a key role in Munch's early work. His works, imbued with a deep understanding of human nature and social issues, made a strong impression on the young Munch. Munch became not only a teacher, but also a mentor to Edvard, helping him to realize the importance of personal experience and emotional honesty in art. Influenced by Munch and naturalism, Munch began to create paintings that reflected the harsh reality of life. He strove to truthfully portray human suffering and joy, immersing himself in exploring the inner world of his characters. His early works, such as At the Sick Child's Side, 1885 to 1886, and Sorrow, 1894, demonstrate a deep understanding of human pain and compassion. These works show Munch's propensity to explore the psychological and emotional aspects of life, which would later form the basis of his unique style. Through Crow, Munch realized that art could and should be a means of expressing personal experiences and deep feelings. Naturalism gave him a tool for exploring and depicting reality, but Munch soon realized that to fully realize himself he needed to go beyond this direction. In search of his own artistic language, he began to experiment with form and color, seeking to express his inner anxieties and thoughts. Thus, studying at the School of the Royal Drawing Academy and the influence of Christian Crow was an important stage for Edvard Munch in his development as an artist. This period laid the foundation for his further creative endeavors and opened up new horizons that he boldly explored throughout his life. In the late 1880s, Edvard Munch began to search for new forms of expression of his deep emotional feelings. It was at this time that he became influenced by French symbolism and impressionism, which played a key role in his further artistic development. The symbolists sought to express through art the invisible, spiritual, hidden behind the outer shell of reality. This idea resonated deeply with Munch's inner world, for whom art was a way of expressing his inner anxieties and feelings. The Impressionists, in turn, attracted Munch with their free style of painting and their use of light and color to convey fleeting impressions and emotions. The works of masters such as Claude Monet and Edgar Degas taught Munch to appreciate the moment, to capture and convey the subtle nuances of mood and atmosphere. In 1889, Munch traveled to Paris, the cultural capital of Europe, where he immersed himself in the world of French art. Paris was a mecca for artists, and here Munch encountered the works of such great masters as Vincent van Gogh and Paul Gauguin. These encounters had a huge influence on him and helped him to form his unique artistic style. Van Gogh, with his vivid, expressive brush strokes and deep emotional charge, became for Munch an example of how painting could be used to express personal feelings and inner struggles. Van Gogh's works, full of passion and drama, inspired Munch's bolder and more emotionally intense experiments with color and form. Paul Gauguin, with his symbolic and mystical motifs, also had a significant influence on Munch. Gauguin used flat, saturated colors and decorative elements to create paintings filled with symbolism and mythology. This encouraged Munch to delve even further into symbolism and find ways to express inner states and spiritual experiences on canvas. His stay in Paris was a time of intense creative growth for Munch. He absorbed the best of French symbolism and impressionism, reinterpreted and integrated these elements into his art, creating a new, unique style. Paintings from this period, such as Spring, 1889, and Melancholia, 1891, reflect the influence of the Paris school and demonstrate his ability to combine different artistic directions to convey deep emotional states. Thus, the influence of French symbolism and impressionism, as well as exposure to the works of Van Gogh and Gauguin, were important milestones in Edvard Munch's artistic journey. These influences helped him to find his own voice in art, which made him one of the most important artists of his time. The early period of Edvard Munch's work was marked by the search for his own artistic language and attempts to express deeply personal experiences through painting. One of the key works of this period was the painting The Sick Child, 1885 to 1886. In this painting, Munch depicted a scene reminiscent of the death of his sister Sophia. The girl sitting at the bedside seems to be plunged into deep sadness and pain. The painting conveys an atmosphere of despair and hopelessness that reflects the artist's personal tragedies. This work was the first significant step in his journey to explore the themes of pain and loss that would haunt him throughout his life. The Symbolist period was a time of intense creative growth and experimentation with new forms and techniques for Munch. The culmination of this period was the creation of his most famous painting, The Scream, 1893. This work has become a symbol of existential horror and the inner cry of the soul. Munch used bright, contrasting colors and undulating lines to convey a sense of anxiety and panic. The figure in the foreground, with his face contorted in a scream, seems to dissolve into the surrounding landscape, emphasizing the sense of loss and disorientation. Scream became the quintessence of symbolism, expressing through abstract forms and saturated colors deep emotional and psychological states. The mature period of Munch's work is characterized by the creation of the cycle frieze of life, which includes such works as Madonna, Dance of Life, Jealousy, and The Scream. This cycle is a series of paintings united by themes of love, anxiety, death, and suffering. Frieze of Life is Munch's attempt to express the whole gamut of human experiences and emotions associated with life and death. In these works, the artist explores not only his personal feelings, but also universal human emotions, creating deep and multi-layered works of art. The Frieze of Life cycle was an important contribution to world culture, establishing Munch as one of the leading expressionist artists. After 1908, when Munch had a nervous breakdown and spent some time in a sanatorium, his work underwent significant changes. He began to move away from symbolism and increasingly focused on landscapes and portraits. During this period, his work became calmer and more balanced, reflecting his desire for inner peace and harmony. Landscapes from this time, such as Starry Night and Winter Landscape, are filled with quiet contemplation and a deep love of nature. The portraits, in turn, demonstrate his skill in conveying human characters and emotions, while retaining his unique expressionist handwriting. The late period of Edvard Munch's work is characterized by maturity and wisdom gained through years of personal trials and artistic pursuits. He continued to create powerful and emotionally intense works that remain relevant and inspiring to this day. This period concludes the multifaceted and intense creative life of Munch, who left an indelible mark on the history of art. Edvard Munch strived not just to depict external reality, but to convey his inner emotional states and psychological experiences through art. His paintings became a way to express his deep fears, anxieties, and feelings, creating powerful visual images that resonate with viewers on an emotional level. The painting The Scream, 1893, is a prime example of this approach. Munch uses bright, contrasting colors and curved lines to convey a sense of panic and existential terror. The figure screaming against the dramatic landscape symbolizes not only Munch's personal fears, but also universal human experience. The painting became an icon of expressionism, demonstrating how art can be a means of expressing deep emotions and states of mind. In Madonna, 1894 to 1895, and Dance of Life, 1899 to 1900, Munch explored themes of love, eroticism, and mortality. These works are filled with symbolism and reflect his complex relationships with women and love as a source of both joy and pain. He uses female imagery to convey his feelings and experiences of life and death, creating intense and emotionally intense scenes. In Munch's later works, such as Starry Night and Winter Landscape, one can see a calmer and more contemplative attitude towards life and death. These landscapes, filled with silence and harmony, reflect his desire for inner peace and reconciliation with himself. Here Munch uses nature as a symbol of the eternal cycle of life and death, finding comfort and peace in it. Thus, the theme of life and death is central to Edvard Munch's work. Personal tragedies and deep emotional experiences became the foundation of his art, allowing him to create powerful and expressive images that continue to thrill and inspire viewers around the world. Munch masterfully used art as a means to explore and express his inner states, making him one of the most important artists in history. Munch is considered one of the founders of expressionism, a movement that emerged in the early 20th century. His paintings, full of bright colors and expressive forms, became a reflection of the inner world of man and his emotional states. Munch's works, such as The Scream and the Dance of Life, demonstrate the use of color and line to convey tension and drama, which became key elements of the expressionist style. His art opened new horizons for artists who sought to express on canvas not just external forms, but also deep feelings. Munch's work had a particularly strong influence on German artists of the early 20th century. Artists drew inspiration from his expressive style and thematic content, and adopted from Munch's approach to using color and form to express emotional and psychological depth. This influence contributed to the formation of German expressionism, which became an important cultural phenomenon of the time. Despite international recognition, Munch long faced difficulties in the acceptance of his art in his homeland of Norway. His works, filled with somber themes and expressive forms, often provoked misunderstanding and criticism among the Norwegian public and art community. At the same time, in Germany, his work received a much more positive response. German critics and artists praised the innovative spirit and emotional power of his paintings. Munch found an appreciative audience in Germany, which helped him establish himself as an important artist of his time. Edvard Munch played an important role in the Berlin secession, an artistic movement that emerged in the late 19th century as a reaction to conservative art academies and sought artistic freedom and innovation. In 1892, his solo exhibition in Berlin caused so much controversy that it was closed a week after opening. This incident, known as the Munch Affair, was the catalyst for the creation of the Berlin Secession, a group of artists who sought independence from official art and support for new artistic movements. Munch's participation in this movement strengthened his position in the international art community and helped spread his influence. Thus, Edvard Munch not only left a bright trace in the history of art with his works, but also actively contributed to the development of new artistic trends and inspired many artists to create deep and emotionally rich works. Edvard Munch's personal life was full of turbulent relationships and emotional upheavals that left a noticeable mark on his health and creativity. He never married or had children, which may have been due to his inability to have a long and stable relationship. Munch's romantic liaisons often ended dramatically and left deep wounds in his soul. For example, his affair with Tula Larsen ended in a violent incident that left Munch with a gunshot wound to his arm. These personal dramas intensified his sense of loneliness and alienation, which were reflected in his works. Edvard Munch suffered from a variety of psychological problems, including anxiety, depression, and paranoia. These conditions were exacerbated by his addiction to alcohol, which he used as a way to assuage his inner anxieties. Nervous breakdowns and emotional crises became a regular part of his life, which on the one hand made his existence difficult, but on the other hand provided him with rich material for creativity. Munch often said that his art was born out of his suffering and that he could not have created his masterpieces without these painful experiences. His psychological problems culminated in a nervous breakdown in 1908, which forced Munch to seek help at a sanatorium in Copenhagen. Under the supervision of Dr. Daniel Jacobsen, he underwent a course of treatment that included both medical and therapeutic methods. This treatment helped Munch to partially restore his mental balance and improve his physical health. After his stay at the sanatorium, his work became lighter and calmer, reflecting his desire for inner peace and harmony. Edvard Munch left a deep mark in the history of art. His works, full of emotional power and expression, continue to inspire artists and audiences around the world. Munch created a unique visual language to convey the most complex and profound feelings. His innovative approach to the use of color and form had a significant influence on the development of expressionism and other avant-garde movements in 20th century art. The Edvard Munch Museum in Oslo, opened in 1963, has become a major center for the preservation and research of his legacy. The museum houses an extensive collection of his work, including paintings, prints, drawings, and personal documents. The museum is also active in research and education, organizing exhibitions, lectures, and programs on Munch's life and work. The site has become an important cultural and tourist attraction, attracting many visitors from around the world. Edvard Munch's influence on contemporary art and popular culture cannot be overstated. His innovative approach to depicting human emotion continues to inspire artists, filmmakers, musicians, and writers. Munch's work is often quoted and interpreted in various art forms, from film to music to fashion. His famous painting The Scream has become a pop culture icon, appearing in countless variations and parodies. Contemporary artists such as Damien Hirst and Julian Schnabel recognize Munch's influence on their work, noting his ability to plumb the deepest depths of the human soul through art. Thus, Edvard Munch not only left a rich artistic legacy, but continues to have a significant impact on the culture and art of our time. His works, full of passion and sincerity, remain relevant and resonate with new generations of viewers and creators. Edvard Munch is not just an artist, it is the voice of the human soul, which is reflected in his paintings. His work, filled with passion, pain, and deep emotional experience, has touched millions of people around the world. Munch was able to convey in his paintings those states and feelings that are difficult to express in words. His works, such as The Scream, Madonna, and Dance of Life, have become symbols of human existence, reflecting his anxieties, hopes, and fears. Munch occupies a unique place in world culture as an artist who, through his personal pain and suffering, was able to create universal images that everyone can understand. Edvard Munch is rightly considered one of the founders of expressionism, a movement that changed the face of 20th century art. His innovative approach to the use of color, form, and composition to express the inner human condition had a profound influence on many artists, both his contemporaries and representatives of subsequent generations. Munch's influence can be seen in the works of such masters as Vincent van Gogh, Egon Schiele, Oskar Kokoschka, and many others. Munch not only pushed the boundaries of painting, but also helped form a new artistic language that allowed artists to express their deepest emotions and experiences. Munch's influence on art is still evident today. His work continues to inspire contemporary artists, designers, filmmakers, and musicians, resonating in a wide range of cultural fields. Munch showed that art can be not only a reflection of the external world, but also a powerful tool for exploring and expressing the inner world of man. His legacy lives on in every new work of art that seeks to look beyond the visible and convey the feelings and emotions that make us human. Edvard Munch's work is a great contribution to world culture and art. His work remains alive and relevant, continuing to inspire and excite people around the world. Munch opened new horizons in art, showing us that the most important thing is honesty with oneself and the ability to express one's true feelings. His legacy will live on forever, reminding us that art is the mirror of our souls. with you is Touch Art channel and the work of Norwegian artist and one of the first representatives of expressionism, Edvard Munch. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Thank you.